our first yoga moving into happiness of giving. And I will just hand over to Rosalind to get us started.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to lead the meditation this morning. And just to say, this has been a really helpful tool for me in my journey. So I've suffered from depression for probably about 30 years or something, and probably the last, certainly quite a lot of years now, I've been practicing meditation and found it really helpful alongside yoga. So see how you go with this. I expect some of you have done this kind of thing before. If you haven't, you can't get it wrong. It's really, we're just taking a check-in. We're just doing a little baseline to say, how are we right now? And then we'll do a little bit of something again at the end. And it's like, how are we at the end? So, like I say, you can't get it wrong. So just see how you go with this. So let's get started by find yourself a comfortable position. You might already be in a comfortable position, or you might want to be seated, or you might want to you can even do this lying down. If you're prone to sleepiness like me, then you probably don't want to be lying down, because you might fall asleep. That might be needed as well. But just take a minute to just get yourselves comfy. If you're sitting, you can be on a chair, or you can be on a meditation cushion, or you can roll up your yoga mat a little bit to just give you maybe a little touch of height underneath your buttocks. It's nice to have your buttocks slightly higher than your knees for comfort, so that your back's not getting strained. I tend to need quite a high cushion underneath me because I've got tight hips. Yeah. So let's start by, and it's always optional, everything's optional, but if you feel moved to, then you might want to close your eyes. And let's start by just taking a few deep breaths. You can practice inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth, if that works for you. So maybe 2 or 3 long breaths. And just allowing your breath to settle into a natural rhythm. And then we're just going to do a little inventory, check in on sort of 4 different levels, and we're going to start with the breath. So we're going to focus on the breath, bring your attention to the breath. See if you can just notice the sensation of the air entering and leaving your nostrils. Just bring your attention to the tip of the nose and to the nostrils. Just see if you can get a sense of the air entering and leaving. And then just track the breath. Feel your chest and your abdomen. They might be rising and falling with each breath. Just notice. You might even want to bring a hand to your chest or your belly and just notice. It might be really subtle. Just a slight movement of rising and falling with each breath. And if your mind starts to wander off, which it will do, because that's what minds do, just gently bring your focus back to the breath. And that's all we're ever doing, is coming back, coming back. And then let's make a little shift to observing your thoughts. So shifting attention to the thoughts channel, just noticing any thoughts that arise. You're not trying to change them or judge them. You're just noticing. You're saying, oh, hi, thoughts are here. And if it works for you, you might want to imagine thoughts as clouds passing through the sky of your mind. You can just acknowledge each thought and let it drift away. Tend to go, hi, 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 whatever works for you. And just letting the thoughts drift away, and again returning your focus to your breath if you get caught up in the stories of the mind. Just see how that is to just notice thoughts. And then we're going to make a little shift again to tune into feelings. So bring your awareness to your feelings. Where do you know that you've got feelings? Any emotions? Just notice any emotions that are present for you right now. You don't need to label them or judge them. See if you can just observe them as they are. And if you find yourself labeling or judging, just observe that too. Just allow yourself to feel whatever emotions come up. See if you can just say yes to them. Oh, hi, hi. So whatever it is that's here, just accepting them just as they are, or just noticing that it's difficult to accept them today. And then we're going to switch into the next channel, which is like the scanning of the body, so your actual physical body. So just make that little shift to focus on your body. Just gathering your awareness in. And you might need to start right from the crown of your head. I'm just going to slowly scan down to the toes. So just noticing from the crown, all of your skull, just taking in your eyes, your nose, your cheekbones, your mouth, your chin, all of your face, and then coming down through the neck, into the shoulders. And as you're scanning, just noticing any sensations. There might be some tension, there might be some warmth, maybe some tingling. If you're encountering any areas of discomfort, you can just gently invite the breath into them. Imagine releasing the tension with each exhale. Just traveling down from the shoulders, down through the chest, through the abdomen, through the pelvis, hip sockets, down through the legs, through your thighs, your knees, calves, your shins, scanning through your ankles, into your heels, right through your feet, into your toes, and including your upper arms, just scanning down your upper arms to your elbows, forearms, to your wrists, to your hands, fingers and thumbs. Just gently seeing if you can include the whole of your body in your awareness. So from the crown of your head, through to the tips of your fingers and the tips of your toes. Just letting it all be here and just noticing what's here today, what's here in this moment. And as we come to a close, let's take a few more deep breaths. Just 2 or 3 deep breaths to make a transition. Just noticing if there are any shifts of feeling, sensation. Maybe there's some more calm or relaxation, maybe there isn't. And when you're ready, just gently bringing your awareness back to the present moment. And if your eyes are closed, just slowly, gently opening them. And you might want to just scan the space that you're in. Maybe just looking to your left, looking to your right. Just taking in the space to bring yourself back here. As you're coming back, just take a moment to appreciate the stillness and clarity that you've been cultivating. It might not be here yet, but we're cultivating. This is a practice. And then when you're ready, you make a little transition into some journaling if that works for you today. So you might want to reach for your pads and pens. It's just an invitation to just take a few minutes with a little question of inquiry. And the question we've got for today is, how does it feel when I give myself time for my own well-being? And your answer might come through some writing. You might be wanting to draw or doodle. And if that doesn't work for you today, you might just want to move your body in response to that inquiry. How does it feel when I give myself time for my own well-being? So just take a couple of minutes and I'll give you a call when we've got a minute left to come back to the screens. So just take one more minute to bring your writing, drawing, moving to a close. And when you're ready, let's come back to the screens. I'm going to hand back over to Laura.
I hope that was a nice start to your Monday morning. So we're on the topic of giving. And yeah, we've chosen to think about giving as carving out some time actually for ourselves, that we have to give to ourselves before we can give to others. But this is the first key to happiness, that actually our happiness starts with actually giving to others, whether that being kind or smiling at a stranger, being generous when perhaps things don't go to plan, perhaps when that person in front of you cuts in front of you in a queue, or when you're driving, that we're not always generous, are we, to other people if we don't know them. So having that generosity to others, that maybe they're just having a difficult time, although they really do need to get somewhere in a rush. So we need to make sure that we're giving wholeheartedly from a place where we're wanting to help, rather than we feel like we should. And we feel like we should, that often causes resentment within us and then has an impact on our happiness. So, and often, I think probably especially as women, we're very good at being generous and giving to others, but we don't necessarily extend that kindness to ourselves. So yeah, that's what today is about, is carving some time just for you to give yourself some space, for your own sort of well-being, whether it's the movement that we do, or like that little meditation that Rosalind just did, just checking in with where your thoughts are. Are your thoughts kind to yourself as you're moving through our movements? So keep that in mind as we go through the class today, as we move on to our movement section. So I'm going to come back here. Hopefully everybody can see me. I've spotlighted for you, but it doesn't make me big on my screen, so I can only see myself like quite small. But yeah, hopefully you can see all of me. And let's just start with some real gentle movement. So say I'm sat on the floor now, but you could be sat on your chair. So doing whatever feels right for you. But whether you're on the floor or the chair, making sure that it's a comfortable position. So I've gone for my legs crossed. I've got a cushion, so my hips are tipped forward. But you might prefer to have your legs out in front of you, or you might prefer to be on the chair. But when you're on the chair, again, you might need a cushion in your back, just to make sure that we're really sat tall through our spines. We want to avoid that sort of slumping if we can. We want to be sitting tall, shoulders back and down. Working on our posture, but also when we in yoga, when we talk about giving and that sort of loving kindness, we go into our thinking about our chest area, into our heart region. So we look at doing sort of chest openers, which is what we're going to do today. So good for us on a physical level, improving our posture, but also perhaps working on a deeper energetic level, opening up our bodies. When we're open and our posture is tall, we're thinking about receiving, and then often when yeah, perhaps we're in a difficult mood, or perhaps we're feeling some resentment, we're closed, we don't want people to come towards us. So we're thinking about opening our posture today with our movement. Let's start really gentle, just with a roll of the shoulders. So rolling the shoulders. We want to think about really bringing our attention into the movement. So it's quite easy when we're doing something simple for us to then go off thinking about maybe what we've got on the rest of the day, or something that's happened to us. Can we really focus on the shoulders? So every time the mind goes somewhere else, just bring it back to the movement that we're doing. Really sending your attention into your shoulder joints and how they're moving this morning. But again, without judgment. So without that, oh, they really hurt, and oh, why is this like this? Oh gosh, I wish it didn't hurt. Letting go of all of that and just feeling into what's here, the movement that's here right now. We could do a few forwards if you haven't done any forwards, but we do tend to need to go backwards rather than forwards. We spend quite a lot of our lives in that forward position, so taking the shoulders back, better forward. And then let's bring the hands down to rest, either down to the floor or by the side of the chair. And then let's just take the head from side to side. So we're taking the ear down to the shoulder. So be mindful of the shoulder creeping up. Let's drop it down. Bringing that ear towards the shoulder. You might feel a really nice stretch in the neck. Remembering to just work at where your body is today. If you've got any injuries going on, then just take it easy, especially in the neck. So going from one side to the other. Again, really trying to send your attention into the part of the body that you're moving. And from one side, maybe a couple on each side. Center, and then the other way. And back up to center. And then let's bring the chin to the chest. So be mindful that we don't collapse in the back, that we just move the head. So the chin comes to the chest, and we really stretch the back of the neck. And just notice how that feels. Coming back to center. And then let's lift the chin to the ceiling. Maybe really stretch through the neck. Stretch the front of the neck. And then back down again. Chin to the chest. Let's make a little basket with the hands if we're okay in the shoulders, and rest the hands on the back of the head. Just adding a little bit of weight and gravity. Again, trying to keep the spine tall rather than collapsing in the spine. And then release the hands. Let the head come back up. Maybe notice how that feels when you let that weight go. How heavy does the head feel? Does it feel lighter? What does it feel like? And then, yeah, just taking any movement that feels nice in the neck, maybe some circles, maybe just side to side. And everything that I'm giving you today is a suggestion. Totally up to you how you want to move today. And then coming back to center. And then my favorite one, more in person, because I can see people doing it more, and it gives me a little chuckle. Is the chicken neck. So trying to make a double chin. So keeping your head still, so it's not going up or down, it's coming in. So it's like if you pushed on your chin, your neck would come in, and you give yourself a bit of a double chin, and then you can poke it back out. So it's probably chicken head. Like you're moving like a chicken, and just moving your head round to one side, drawing in, and then pushing out. Coming in more important than the going out. Yeah, when we get that rounded posture with the activities that we do, then the head tends to be coming forward, which then puts a lot of pressure on the neck. Just taking that gentle movement, coming back and forth, and then finding your way back to center. And you might want to again do a few shoulder rolls just to reset with the neck. Move further around the body, doing just some gentle warm-ups to get us moving. So let's bring one hand down to the floor or to the side of the chair, and then just stretching up and over. So again, if we've got any issues with the shoulders, we could just have the hand onto the hip, or we can take that hand over and just feeling that side body stretch. Noticing how that feels. Trying to slow the breath down with the movement. And then let's go to the opposite side. And then coming back to center for a moment. We'll go back the first direction. I might not do any lefts and rights. I'm terrible with left and rights, and then you're probably all mirroring me, so then it just makes it more complicated. And then this time when we're here, maybe get a little bit of movement. We could go like forwards and back. We could even make a circle with the arm. Just feeling into that stretch. Just noticing where you can feel it. Yeah, maybe going out and then back into it. Just moving the body in a way that feels good for you. And then again, coming back to center. Taking a little moment. So our brains are always sort of trying to go ahead. So you might be already other side. But in yoga, the little pauses in between just as important. That we check in with how the body feels when it comes back to that central line. And then let's go the opposite way. Finding that stretch where it feels good for us, and then maybe taking that movement forwards and back. Maybe circling that arm. Shoulder feel a bit quicky this morning. Any movement that feels right for you. And then coming back center again. Taking that little pause. Checking in with how that felt. And then let's move it down the body. Let's take some circles. So let's circle the hip. Again, we could be on the floor or we're on the chair. The circles could be as big or as small as we want them to be this morning. If you want to take them really big, you might think when you're coming forward about shining that chest forward. Then as you go back, about pulling in the core a little bit. Oh, you might be taking smaller circle and keeping it a little bit steadier this morning. If you haven't swapped direction, let's swap direction. Take one more. And then coming back to center again. Finding that little mini pause. Can we be okay with the pause? I know when I first started doing yoga, I found it really difficult to slow down and find that quiet space. My mind was very busy and I was used to rushing around. Found it quite tricky. So if that's the case for you, know that that's all right. This is different. We just accept where we are and just be okay with it. And then let's, if we're on the floor, let's take the hands behind us as we take the feet out in front. So we can just keep the legs bent on the chair. If we're just going to work into the ankles, so just circling the ankles. So on the chair, they could be anywhere that feels comfortable. Circling them in one direction. And then the opposite direction. See if you could write your name with your toes, and the feet moving in different ways and getting the ankles moving. See how that feels. And then could we point one toe and flex the other? So we like to do a bit of cross movement as well. So pointing one toe, flexing the other foot, and then switching. Hoping you can see my toes. Flexing one and switching. Maybe doing that a little bit faster. And then give the legs a little bit of a wobble. So if you're on the chair, just giving your feet a little tap on the floor. And then we're going to work into a heart opening stretch. So I'm going to come back onto my cushion. I'm going to take my legs out long. If this is uncomfortable for you, you could have your knees bent. You could even have a cushion under each leg, just so you've got a little bit of support. But just seeing how that feels on the floor. But again, we could be on the chair, and I will demonstrate this next movement on the chair as well. So on the floor, let's take the hands behind us, and then just really think about shining the chest forward. So you're trying to really stretch across the front of the chest. Staying there on the floor. And on the chair, I would still keep the feet planted flat, but trying to take your hands behind you. I've got quite high arms on my chair, but maybe you need to grab the seat of the chair so that you can really stretch the hands behind you. Hands. Very good if we had hands for our hands, would it? And then stretching across the chest. Noticing again how this movement feels. Notice what happens in the shoulders. Can you still drop the shoulders down? And then let's come forward. So when we've opened the chest, we go the opposite way. So on the chair, coming forwards, we could lean down onto the thighs. On the floor, you might bend through the legs so you can lean forwards, but just rounding the spine. Or you might take a butterfly position on the floor. You might have your legs in butterfly and be leaning forwards here. And then coming back up again. So this time, wherever you are, let's bring the hands to the waist. So if you're sat on the floor, we're using a little bit more core support rather than having the hands behind us. And can we take the elbows back? So I'm really trying to draw my elbows back as far as I can. But be mindful that you're still pulling your core in a little bit. So I don't want to do this. Be really arching in my lower back. So I want to still keep that stability in my lower back by pulling in my core. And I'm trying to get my upper back to do the work. I'm drawing my elbows backwards. Again, we can do that on the chair or seated. Again, notice how that feels. Trying to just breathe steadily in that position. And then bring it forwards again. So resting forwards. Letting the body relax from that position. And coming back up. So we're building up in levels of really opening the chest. And there might be a level that for you where I want to stick there. So maybe you want to stick with your hands on your hips and drawing the elbows back, because perhaps you've got something going on in your shoulders or in your arms. The next level is to take the hands behind the back. So we could take one arm across and the other arm across. Maybe they're only here. But just going to wherever feels comfortable for us. Again, remembering that we still need that little bit of core engagement in the lower belly to help protect that lower back. But we're opening the chest. So trying to be still really tall in the spine, drawing the shoulders down. It might feel a little bit achy. Can we just sit with this discomfort? And yoga is really about the mind-body connection. So it's about trying to tune into, is this an ache that because I'm stretching my body in a way that I haven't done before? Or is this a sharp pain where I need to stop? So trying to tune into the difference between those two sensations within the body. And then bring it forwards again. So wherever feels comfortable. You could even bring the elbows to the thighs and bring the head into the hands. And then slowly coming back up. And then last one. So again, if that was enough for you, maybe stick with this. But we're going to clasp the hands behind the back. So making a little basket with the fingers, clasping the hands behind the back, and then really trying to push the hands away, which is easier actually for me when I'm on my knees, but not so easy if you've got the floor or the chair in the way. So if you might need to come a little bit further forwards on the chair so you've got some space behind you. On the floor, you might need to move the hands away from the back. But again, trying to really sit up tall and letting the movement come from the shoulders. Seeing how that feels. If this feels really okay for you, you could even try hinging forwards a little bit. So noticing how that feels. Bit of a stretch through the back, maybe through the leg. Or maybe we want to stick at one of the other movements, the hands behind the back or the hands on the hip. So going at where feels right for you, but we're really opening that chest. Take a last breath here. And then really flop it forwards. Like I said, on the floor, you could even have the knees bent and just be rounding here. And then coming back slowly to a neutral position. Checking in again. How do I feel right now? So we're going to turn, we've sort of already done a little bit of a cat movement with those chest openers, but we're going to do a little seated cat. So if you're on the floor, I would suggest having your legs bent with your feet on the floor and grabbing underneath the thighs to begin with. And so cat movement is where we move the spine. We normally do it on all fours, but we're going to do it seated today. So we're going to, if I turn sideways, we're going to really round the spine by taking sort of as if someone's punching in the belly button. We take the chin to the chest and really round here. And then coming up into what would be our happy cat. We shine the chest forward, shoulders down, chin up here. So if you're seated, you could just work through that movement at your own pace. And we'd be breathing in as we reach forwards and up into that happy cat. And I'll just demonstrate on the chair. Or on the chair, we could just have the hands on the thighs and we can round forwards, chin to chest. And then as we come back up, maybe taking those elbows back like we did before into that happy cat. Chin up, rounding forwards. So just going through that movement at a pace that feels good for you. Go with 2 more. And then finding that neutral position again. Checking in with how we feel. Then maybe just taking some hip circles again to just loosen off. In one direction and then the opposite direction. And then I am going to invite you to come up to standing. So if you're on the floor, if you're regular at practicing yoga, maybe you come up through a downward dog. If you know what I'm talking about, you just go for it. If not, then making sure that you come up to the floor from the floor really steady, probably one leg in front of the other, maybe having a support, or maybe we can get our hand down to the ground and pushing ourselves up to standing. If you want to stay seated on the chair, that's totally fine as well. So options here. If you want to be still seated, that's totally okay. And then finding a standing position, probably feet fairly wide. And then let's take some hip circles up here as well. And noticing how that feels. Direction and then the other direction. Remember, at any point, if you want to rest or you don't want to do what I'm doing, then come back down to the chair or just come back to laying on the floor. Totally okay. Remember, this is about giving time to you, what you need right now. That what I'm saying to do might not be what you need right now. Just checking in with that all the time. Everything that I'm saying is a suggestion. So we're going to try some of those heart opening moves stood up as well. So this is, again, really important that we keep that posture. So we talk about that mountain posture in yoga when we're standing. So we've got our feet rooted in the floor. We're standing up tall. The knees are very slightly soft, but we're pulling in at this center of the body so that I'm protecting my lower back. So when I don't do that, this is what happens. I'm exaggerating. I lock my knees, I don't hold in my belly, got this really big arch in my lower back. Everything is just loose, really. I'm not using any muscles to stand up, so keep that tiny micro bend, pull in the center of the body, trying to tuck that pelvis under. So it's straightens the spine, not completely straight, but it's better than just, no muscle support, that lower back. And my shoulders back and down. And then we talk about lifting from the crown of the head. So it's not we're lifting the chin, it's that we're trying to elongate the back of the neck so we're as tall as we possibly can be. This is our mountain posture. We can do the same thing seated as well. So we're trying to think about how we're sat on the chair. And then let's take our hands to our hips again. And then just draw those elbows back. So this is where we notice, do I drop out? Do I let go of this core support when I take my elbows back? Because I'm trying to think about how far I can do it rather than keeping that support for that lower spine. So trying to draw the shoulders, the elbows backwards without letting go the tummy here. Stretching through the shoulders. And then let's roll forwards. Just letting the head hang. If you've got any issues with your blood pressure, be really careful coming forwards, hanging forwards. Just notice how it feels for you. We could be up here instead. Remember, we could still be at the chair. That's okay too. And then slowly coming back up. Let's take the arms behind us. So both arms behind us if we can. Remember, we can still have the hands on the hip. Let's try that here. So still keeping that core support, but really drawing the shoulders back and down, stretching through the shoulders. And then again, going forwards, let's fold forwards, let the shoulders rest forwards. Just as much as we want to. We could be here, could be right down here, whatever feels right for us. And slowly coming back up. And then last one, so taking that clasp behind the back, that little basket with the hands. So we push the hands down and away, but again, it's quite easy for us to push forwards and then push the body forwards. Keep this middle bit strong. Remember, still okay to do the option 1 or option 2, so seeing where we are. So trying to move the shoulders without letting go of that lower back and that core support. Really pressing the hands down, pressing the shoulders away. And again, this is an option. See how we feel today. We could try folding here. So then we fold with the shoulders backwards. So knees soft, but the shoulders stay back as we fold forward. The hands behind us. So remember, if this is new for you, just be gentle with yourself. Try not to lock out the legs, have that micro bend in the legs. Notice the stretch. I can really feel the stretch in my legs. And then let those arms go as you're in that forward fold and just let everything be heavy. Just releasing. And then slowly rolling all the way back up. Taking it really steady. Again, if this is new for you, you might feel a little bit lightheaded, but that's normal. Just from the change in blood pressure as we've changed the body position. Just take a moment. And we shall try another little movement. Maybe have a little bit, if I feel like I need a little bit of a wiggle out after that. So just do anything that feels nice. Take a sip of water. So trying to hold on to what we did there of really keeping this lower back strong with this core support. We're going to try a little sort of, not a full salute the sun, but saluting the sun little movement where we just open up the arms, taking the head up, and then we'll bring them back into heart center. So again, if I turn sideways, I'm trying to still keep this lower part of my body strong. I'm opening up at the top of the body. I'm not bending like this. Okay, so I'm keeping this bit strong, all coming from the chest and from the shoulders coming back. Reminder again that if we want to do it seated on the chair, that we can do it. So yeah, maybe have a little try at that. And then we're going to try and sync it with a bit of a mantra. So maybe bringing your hands to heart center, checking in with that mountain posture, feet firmly in the ground, tail tucked under with that core support for that lower back. Just maybe noticing how you're breathing. And then as we open up, we'll start with the words, I am. So coming up, I am. And as you come back in, important. So breathing in, lifting up, I am. Important. Let's go a few more. Breathing in, I am. Important. Go one more. Breathing in, lifting up. I am important. And then taking a little pause. Maybe, if you're okay with balance, maybe squeezing the feet together and closing your eyes. Seeing if we can be okay with that little wobble. Take a little pause. Maybe repeating that little mantra to yourself, I am important. And then letting the hands rest down. A little shake out of the feet. We're going to start to come back down to the ground. So if you want to be back on your chair, you can just come back to your chair and we'll take a forward fold by resting the elbows into the thighs and then resting the head into the hands. If you want to come back down to your mat, then you could take that same position with the elbows on the mat and resting the head into the hands, or you could take the big toes together, the knees wide, and maybe go more into that child's pose. So the head on the floor, stretching the hands forward, or you could use your hands to support the head. One potato, two potato, resting on the floor, whatever feels right for you. In a moment there. Maybe noticing what the breath is doing here. Where can you feel your breath in this folded position? Then on your next in breath, just slowly coming back up and transitioning yourselves onto your back if you're on your mat. So coming down onto your back. Let's have the feet flat on the floor and the knees bent. And just dropping the knees over to one side of the body. Just leaving them there. On the chair, instead of taking the legs to the sides, take the top half of the body to the side. So twisting the top half of the body if we're on a chair. And then everybody coming back to center wherever they are, taking that little pause in center, letting all the body come back into balance, back to neutral. And then taking the twist in the opposite direction. And bringing that back to center. As your body comes back into balance, back to neutral. Noticing how you're breathing now. Maybe noticing where you can feel the breath. Maybe noticing whether the breath is slow or fast. What do you notice about your breath right now? And then just noticing how comfortable do you feel right now? Do you need to move into a different position so that you feel supported as we move into our meditation?
So just finding yourself a comfy place to sit or lie down now. Just settle for this final few minutes of meditation. We're just going to do a very simple introduction to a loving kindness meditation for today. And as always, it's optional. See what works for you. So just use my words as a guide or let them float off. So again, an invitation to close your eyes gently if you feel comfortable with that. And just taking 3 deep breaths. Inhale through your nose and exhaling slowly through your mouth. And just allowing yourself to fully relax after that beautiful yoga session. Soaking up the benefits. And then when you're ready, let's just come into relationship with ourselves, and you might want to visualize yourself in your mind's eye, or if you're not a visualizer, have some sense of yourself, whatever that is for you. And then just an invitation to repeat some phrases that I'm going to say, and you can either do them silently, inwardly, or out loud. And the most important thing is that they're just spoken with sincerity. So just repeating to me. So the first one is, may I be happy. And you're just saying that silently or inwardly to yourself or out loud if that works for you. And just seeing how that lands in your system. May I be happy. And then the next phrase is, may I be healthy. And the third one is, may I be safe. May I be safe. You can say it once or you can repeat it over and over. May I be safe. May I be safe. And then the fourth one is, may I live with ease. May I live with ease. And as you're embracing these phrases, just imagining feelings of warmth, love, compassion enveloping you. And just allowing these feelings to fill your whole being. See if you can soak up these qualities of warmth, love, and compassion. Just taking a moment to just be with all of that. And then we're just going to make a little transition. We're going to repeat the process, but this time, instead of offering all these qualities to yourself, we're going to offer these to loved ones. So again, bringing to mind in whatever way someone you love deeply, someone who brings you joy and comfort. And then you're going to repeat the same phrases for them. So again, we'll just go through them one by one. May you be happy. And again, just noticing how that lands in your system. And you're sending good wishes to someone you love. May you be happy. And the next one, may you be healthy. May you be healthy. Third one, may you be safe. May you be safe. And finally, may you live with ease. May you live with ease. And then just bring up a sense of receiving your well wishes and experiencing happiness and peace. See if you can get a sense of what that could be like for them. To receive your well wishes and have that sense of happiness and peace. And finally, we're going to offer these qualities to someone who's perhaps just an acquaintance. Might not be someone that you know all that well, somebody you know casually, perhaps a neighbour, co-worker. And again, an invitation to offer them the same wishes for their well-being. So again, just bringing someone to mind, whatever way. And just offering them, may you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And just see if you can have a sense of them smiling and feeling a sense of well-being. And then just to bring this to a close for today, let's just take a few deep breaths together. And slowly bringing your awareness back to the present moment. And when you're ready, opening your eyes if they're closed. Maybe taking a little scan around the space just to bring yourself back into the room and focusing on something in the room that calls your attention. And as you're gathering back, I'm going to hand over to Laura.
Just getting some gentle movement. Moving in a way that feels right for your body right now. So we all end up seated. And I always like to end my yoga classes with a little energy rub. So bring the hands together, create some heat, some energy in the hands. And then bring in that energy, that heat into the eyes. Let's take a big breath in and a slow breath out. Bring the hands down to heart center. Let's make a promise to ourselves to carve out some time for our own well-being this week. Give ourselves some time. So thank you for joining me. We finish with the word namaste, which is Sanskrit, and it sort of sums up the fact that we're all one and the same. We're all we've all got love and kindness at our hearts, and we're all part of the universe. So thank you for joining me. Namaste.